Welcome.
Thank you. Good evening, everybody. Again, my name is Rachelle Jeanty. I am from Randolph, Massachusetts. I currently work for Bay Cove Human Services as a program manager. I'm currently pursuing my master's in public administration from the University of Massachusetts, Boston. And I'm just here to share my story. I'm very excited to be back for the second installment.
Amazing inspiration, amazing inspiration. She's a success story. And when we talk of success, we try to look into the community, and these are our girls who have made it and who are still making it. So I did ask her to share all her hurdles, her achievements, so that all of us can learn from right from childhood to middle school. And each and every series, she's going to bring us new stories so that people can inspire from her story. So you are the role model for many invisible viewers also.
Thank you.
Tell us something that you look back to your middle school days and how you thought you were ambitious, or how did you become ambitious?
Yeah, middle school was a journey. It was something completely different than I experienced. I come from a community that had a few elementary schools, and then when you go to middle school, it combines with all the elementary schools. So before you were in a group, and then you are part of a bigger group. So I remember having the experience of being in different hallways with different kids that I did not know prior, who had different backgrounds, different experiences than me. And it was almost like a culture shift for me. Even though this was my community, I was in something so much different than before. And I remember just even experiencing different relationships with the different of my peers, some that were positive and some were negative. I remember going through middle school, not really understanding a lot about myself, trying to find my identity as a young person. It was some of the realest years of my life. I remember experiencing bullying to some certain extent, where peers would just say certain things about me, about my character, about how I looked. And it was automatically a way that I felt people were kind of attacking my identity without knowing me. And it took me some time, even past middle school, to really get through those hurdles and to say, you know what, I am not what people would label me, regardless of what they might say. That is not a definition of who I am. And so going into high school, I became more of my own. I was able to get more involved in my interests. I was very into dancing and involvement on certain levels. So I joined teams, dance teams, and I also got involved with certain school groups in my high school. And I found that being involved really helped me to get away from those negative aspects of life. Those moments where I didn't feel like I can contribute, those moments where I felt that isolation was the better option, that turned into, let's join community, let's get involved in groups. Try to look at it as that you're part of something bigger than yourself. And it was amazing. I was able to break barriers within myself. I remember performing in front of my whole school in 9th grade for a pep rally. And it was amazing just feeling that energy of just being in front of people and your peers just coming to you and saying, you know what, you did such a good job. I want you to show me how you did this and that. And I'm just like, well, it's skill. You know what I mean? It's hard work and dedication. But I felt so empowered just feeling that positivity and knowing that having just a little bit more diligence within my own effort, like just pushing that envelope, could produce such a amazing turnout.
Result. Now, the confidence, that means you did not have the confidence as because, for we know all the bullying that goes on. Tell me what was the influence of the girls and your teachers? Did they recognize, or did they want to recognize, or they were in denial?
Right. I would say the women in my life were very influential, whether it was my peers or teachers who were around me. I would say when it came to friendships, I would say a majority of my friendships were really good and enabling me to be my best self, to be my authentic self. And they appreciated me for who I was. And so I thank my friends in that season of my life who are able to inspire me to be like, you know what, you are cool, you are doing such a great thing. Don't stop being you, and it's okay to be unique. My teachers at the time, a lot of them did see something different in me. I remember kind of being on the side where I didn't really believe in myself academically.
Surely.
I remember just, trying to participate and trying to be involved and raising my hand and giving my best effort. And teachers sincerely enjoyed that. And they would say, you know what, we need somebody like you to actually advocate for your peers. And I didn't forsake that. I was most definitely open to what they had to say, because I was actually in a transition thinking about transferring schools from public to private. And so I remember telling my teachers, and my teachers was like, no, you need to stay. And it was a very empowering thing to hear that my teachers were advocating for me to stay in the school system. And for the most part, I'm very satisfied with the teachers that were represented in the school system. Of course, there could always be, better teachers, but they most definitely gave their best effort and cared for the young people, and they really wanted us to succeed, which was amazing.
And you did.
Yes,
you did.
Yes.
Each and every time I met you later in life when we started doing these shows, but you're an amazing student, an amazing host for these shows.
Thank you.
But I always wanted to know that it's not easy. To our viewers, Randolph is in the South Shore of Massachusetts. Yes. And it's always not easy for anybody to break through, which you have done. And before the show, we were talking that all your sisters and your brothers all are ambitious, all want to see better days, and all are striving to do so.
Right.
And so tell us the story in high school. What was the change from high school or after high school how did you decide that what you wanted to do? Mm-hmm. You did mention you went to community engagement places, right? Community centers.
Correct.
And you worked there, you helped, and now, tell us more about those.
Yeah, so just a recap of that. I got my first job working through a summer leadership program that were for young people from 9th grade to about 12th grade, and that was just talking on social justice issues and relevant latest topics. And even being part of that program, I was around, again, another group of young people who I never have been part of before, who came from different backgrounds and experiences. I personally loved just being able to meet new people and to just share new experiences. That, to me, was just something that allowed me to realize that I had a bigger mission away from myself as just one person. That if we all start coming together and finding similarities within each other, we could probably bring about peace in this world.
Absolutely. Change also, right?
Yes, a lot of change. And perspectives did change, not only within myself, but the people who I experienced those programs and experiences with.
Was worth sharing. What do you see that, in which ways do you think that, looking back, what do you think that the communities need to bring out more students, more young professionals, more positive attitude, more inspiration? Mm-hmm. What's your assumption?
The first thing that comes to mind is opportunities. Mentioning that I came from Randolph, I had to go into Boston. Being a suburban kid, having to go into the city, big transition for me. But I did not have those opportunities in my community at that time. Thankfully, in 2019, there's a beautiful center that is in Randolph now that has so many more resources for young people. And I see them taking advantage of those opportunities. They're playing basketball, they're being part of mentoring programs, they're part of women's groups, men's groups. They're cooking, they are building skills, they're being part of intergenerational programs. So those opportunities were not available 5 years ago, 10 years ago. when I was a young person. And that is something that I continue to advocate for. So I would say opportunity is a big thing, making sure that it's available.
Amazing. She said she was a young kid. She still is a young girl. But it's nice to hear she thinks she has grown up. But tell us more about what kind of opportunities would you like to see in the community that would help younger children or young professionals or young women, older women?
Right. I would say opportunities that involved intergenerational opportunities, such as young people and the elderly coming together working on projects, or young people learning more job skills, social skills, learning how to really communicate effectively within groups, learning life endeavors and how to like really pursue certain routes in life. I think that we have been able to kind of learn these things independently, but not have been able to pass down those skills to younger generations that could really benefit from it.
Sorry,
Yeah,
but in the community centers, do you have this kind of program that would exactly what you mentioned? Do they still have that or no?
So right now we in Randolph have a new center that is almost, let's say, a year and a half into being in existence, and they are now rolling out great programs for young people that, again, work on the intergenerational aspect of bringing young people in and working with the elderly. We also have the mentoring group, so let's say young men who love to play basketball are also enrolled into this men's group, where they have mentors who work with them and talk about, just issues that men deal with. And they're starting to roll out a women's group as well. And so they are slowly implementing these type of programs, and I think it's a really great start. I know that they have a long way to go. At the same time, I'm very happy with the progress. I know that a lot of young people are benefiting from those type of programs.
Yes, because exactly what you mentioned is the implementation that is required in all of these community centers, so that the younger children or anyone who is lonely can go into the community, volunteer or help. So, and how did you then decide when you started looking for work? What made you, was it opportunity or was it something, a contact, or how did the process work?
Well, currently, right now, after I graduated from undergrad, I started looking into positions that dealt directly with people. I wanted to go back to that type of work because I understand the importance of the need of helping and assisting people of different demographics. So I started thinking about ways that I can get more involved, and it led me to human services. Now, a lot of people don't know about human services, or kind of like the sphere of it, but it kind of encompasses a lot of different areas. So I work for Bay Cove Human Services, that in part of my work is involving working with people with disabilities. And I was like, you know what, I want a job that has me face to face with somebody, helping and caring for them and giving them opportunities. And so I found myself working and leading staff who are now working directly with my clients, who are of different backgrounds, different ethnic backgrounds, culturally. And I really enjoy that type of work, really finding them opportunities. And I think that is such a good platform for me as I start to think about ways that I could continue to impact different demographics in the future.
What's your view on disabled girls? You work with disabled, so what is your view?
I would say that people are people. People are capable of so much. And I don't like to look at my clients and separate them from myself, because I know that I have my own needs and I also have my own capabilities. I'm able to do exceedingly and abundantly anything that I really put my mind to, and my clients can do the same. And they all have great hearts, and they are very ambitious, of themselves. And so I try to challenge that, just like I would challenge my friends, just like I would challenge any colleague. What are you doing? What do you want to do? Ask them those type of questions often, because we want to engage them. A lot of them are working on different goals within themselves, social skills, money skills, ways that they can be more independent. And it's really beautiful just to see them coming into their own and sticking and being consistent. Just like us, I'm like, I need to apply a goal to my life and see how this can carry out, because they are just blazing through. And it just, I look at anybody with a disability as, you know, we all kind of harbor some type of disability.
So well spoken, because we all have our challenges,
Right.
and yet we think the word disabled comes from that, but honestly we all have, each one of us have some kind of challenges, and we are trying to get by them, but some are heroic and they make it, and some just say, accept their disability and say, we can do it. It's socially also, you have to be comfortable.
Right.
So what else do you see that young girls like you would like to do in the future, including you? How do you see it from your vision?
Right. I would say, coming from the perspective of young adults, kind of, I'm 27, so I'm getting a little up there. But I would just say that my colleagues, we are all very driven. I love the women in my life who we are seeing possibilities, and we're setting objectives, we're setting goals for ourselves. We love to set goals and achieve something bigger than ourselves. We understand the type of power that we have internally. And I am very supportive of the women of my life, and I love the fact that they're doing the same. It's like we're a part of our own cheering section, and regardless of who's winning, we're like, okay, how do we support that other person, and how can we kind of aid and kind of influence each other so that we could continue to grow, you know, and even support each other through emotional, you know, life issues that can come up, because of course every day is different. We are all going through something. But I think that sharing is very important. Having that communication that's fluid and honest has been really good, especially for myself as a woman of color, as somebody who is even going towards things that not a lot of women my age or in the Black community are actually going towards. I take it as a challenge, but I'm able to connect with women from different races and backgrounds, and just say, hey, this is what's up. This is what I'm going through today. And they're like, you know what? Yeah, I feel that in my capacity, or I'm feeling this in this area. And so we are able to connect. And I think that's a beautiful thing for me to witness, and also to help cultivate those type of spaces, because they're most definitely necessary.
You see, that's exactly what I was trying to say, that you are the face for all of them. You've connected with me, and I'm from a different race also.
Right.
It's a great face to that. What else do you see? How is the dating scenes? What are the negative parts of society that you want to address, so that our viewers say that, well, I went through this. Oh, maybe the challenge I could not complete. What do you want to shed some light?
I would like to shed light, I guess, on the opposite communication is staying isolated, and isolated when it comes to points of views, point of view. Isolated when it comes to being open-minded, and it's really hard because people are very sensitive, I realized, and it kind of holds them back from taking a step forward. It's like anything that's positive, anything that involves them taking a step forward is automatically a red flag. And I'm just, it gets me every time when I'm like, okay, why don't you try option B? But they've been doing A forever, and they're very stuck in their ways. It's very hard to see people kind of shutting down ideas that could potentially progress them.
This is exactly the reason I asked her the question, because to my knowledge, I have idea of how many people are isolated.
Right.
Yet we reach out to them, and you will not believe everything that you're saying. They're listening, but they don't have the courage to reach out. There are people who reach me in the supermarkets with small notes tucked in their hands to say, can you talk about this? Yet they're not in society. This is exactly why I mentioned that this is a young 27-year-old girl, and she is a girl of color. She is in the community. She has come a long way, and she's going to go a long way. Surely she's blessed. I mean, that definitely, it doesn't happen all the time that, everyone's helpful, everyone's supportive. Most of the girls who have reached out to me are not in this position. Yet they have challenges. Right. Those are the individuals from all different races that I'm trying to reach through you. So, and you exactly answered that question, that they always followed option A and they never went to option B, or they don't want to because either you stand out or you think that's unusual. So it's my request to you that as you tell your stories, we always admire success, but so many of, even including me, have fallen in our lives to come to where we are. So want to help those people who have fallen and pull them out and pull them through, that we can all make it.
Right.
So, and society better than I do because you were raised here. I wasn't raised here. So at the age, though at 27 I was here, but I wasn't raised here. But maybe you can help by shedding light so that those individuals who are, and I know they are, would come up and say that, well, I can do it. If you did it, I can do it. What's your suggestion? What is the little step that you want them to take?
I would say that you have to find your passions and really stick to them. A lot of people shy away from the opportunity to take that first step because a lot of it's insecurity. Where do I start? Where do I go? I don't know. I'm not really interested in a lot, but we all have different interests, or we all have different talents. So it's really getting involved in even something that's new, something that's different, stepping out of your comfort zone. A lot of people are just afraid of that aspect. Again, it's the stepping forward. It's taking that step. It's the hardest part for some people. And even in my life, I found that I couldn't stop. If I stopped, I was even digressing. Like I felt that I was holding myself back if I stopped. Now, I know that it's important to pace myself, and I'm learning even in this time of my life how important it is to have rest. But I have to realize I have to continue to work towards something. If I'm not every day waking up and setting some tasks or some goals, then what am I waking up for? Essentially, there's something I have to do. We were made to work towards something, to heal somebody, to progress in this lifetime. So I would say that really finding a passion, because even, I'll be honest, I am still finding my passions. I'm still trying to understand what is my purpose. I know that what I like, and I know what I'm good at, and I am continuing to stay involved in those areas. And that has already opened doors and blessings. And so that's, for me, I feel more comfortable knowing that if I continue with this work, the right door will open. And so people have to have that, also that energy to be like, you know what, I'm going to put forth my best effort in order to see what can really come from it.
See, when you mention that to find passion, you are right. But let's say if most of the people who we are speaking to maybe are lost and they don't know what's passion. They would like to know what passion is so that they can follow their passion. As a young professional, what do you think? How do you look for passion?
I would look for passion in what you care about most, what's close to your heart.
Okay.
When you are looking into something, reading something, what catches your eye? What is something that really can take you and keep your focus? Something you're interested in, something that you like. A lot of people can't really correlate those things. I think it's a deeper, exploration that some people got to take. but it is necessary. And I think that we all have our seasons of our lives where we start wondering, you know, what do I really want to work on, even within ourselves. Maybe that's a season where you're like, I have to find it within me. Where is the passions? Where are the areas that I have to work on myself? And maybe these are the areas you've worked on first. And when you are able to do self-exploration, that's when you're able to find so much more. So it could be case by case.
And what do you think is the financial status have to do with this? Why I ask this question is there are individuals who have fallen off the boat, fallen off the course. To pull them back. At this point, maybe they don't have a passion, they don't want to know their passion. What would you suggest? Maybe take up a retail job so that you develop discipline? What's your outlook from a 27-year-old? I would like to know. You have education, you've graduated, and I'm aware that there are many right here in our community in Quincy, as well as all over have fallen off the track.
Right.
We want to pull them back on. But we need discipline. And for that, I think a job gives a discipline. What's your take on that? What's your suggestion?
I agree that discipline is essential when it comes to following your passions and establishing yourself. I'll speak personally. I worked retail right out of school, and I started saving my money, and I really wanted to go back to school, and it took a lot of saving, really being diligent with my finances, how I spent my money. I wanted to do some great things. I wanted to travel. I wanted to, enjoy the fruits of my labor.
Sure.
But I realized even up until grad school that I had to continue to save my money and be wise with that. Now, we all go through different financial situations, so sometimes not everybody has the best experience with finances. I would challenge people, if you are noticing that you're struggling with debt, make a plan. Make it plain. Write down a plan. Get out of debt and start saving your money wisely. I think that we are most definitely a generation that does not understand financial literacy, especially back to young people who have so much access to credit cards and what have you. We are not teaching, parents are not teaching, guardians are not teaching these young people how to manage their money. And then we wonder, why are we struggling so much with debt in America? So I think it's a fundamental thing to first talk about ways that we can be better savers. But once you kind of have a hold of finances, which anyone can get a hold of.
Correct.
I think people don't realize that, but anyone can get a hold of their finances. It's really about how much are you really willing to sacrifice in order to hit your goals. It's, again, setting that objective. I need this amount of money. How am I going to get there? And you don't have to work yourself crazy. You don't have to. It's really about that consistency, which a lot of us struggle with. But once you're able to master that, you can make anything happen.
You see, it's possible. That's exactly what, there are tons and tons of possibilities.
Right.
And once you discipline yourself, even though you do not have the means for education to move forward, take up a job in retail, any kind of job, move forward, save a little, pay off your debts, keep moving. Maybe, it's my request, is to take one credit also, so you move towards a goal just like you mentioned. Do you think it's the right suggestion? Just because we are two different age group, correct?
Right.
You can say as a young professional, well, I have to do work and I have to do all the other stuff. Maybe my life is not comfortable doing all of that. But I think that that's the only way you can bring discipline to your life. Because when you earn something, you also know how to save and also spend on you or invest in different things that you like.
Right. I think that if we have the finances, we have to be able to steward our money well and be better managers of our money. You are allocated X amount of money every couple of weeks, you have the responsibility of how you're going to spend that money and in what avenues. So I do agree to what you're saying, that we have that responsibility, most definitely.
You do, and I always wanted to empower women by being financially independent.
Yes.
Because yes, we are talking to a group of youngsters who are from this country, but I also know that there are other people from other countries on dependent visas and many other status that they are holding in the community. The only way they can get out of this isolation or financial independence is to do some kind of voluntary or job that will bring them to the community, to the society, and get the exposure. That's one of the reasons I think all of us who can should be financially independent, and that gives you confidence to move on in life and choose your path. That gives you also the ability to choose your path or set up goals. Once you choose a path, then it comes a passion, choose your goals, and walk from there.
Agreed.
What would you like to leave my viewers, or I would say our viewers? She's been incredible.
Thank you.
And I really want to reach out to the community, to build the community, because constructing a community and to sustain the community is very difficult. And that is and has been my aim. And how would you like to share your thoughts, as you always do, with our viewers?
I would just say that community engagement for me has been very influential. But I would just say continue to find your passions, really a big emphasis on working on yourself, especially in your seasons where you're trying to explore new avenues. And if you ever feel that you might not know where your next step is, I think that's a great opportunity to start looking within, asking those questions, really seeking advice, and really building upon the things that you know that you enjoy in order to get to your next opportunity. And don't shy away from what's available to you, and really take steps that might feel uncomfortable, because you never know what type of opportunity might be on the other side. I think that if we start really making those strides, that we can start even improving ourselves to become the best people that we want to be.
This is a land of opportunity. I leave you, my viewers, thinking about it. Challenge yourself. All I can say is challenge yourself. Until next time, I'm sure you will come up with another story to influence the community. Thank you once again.
Thank you.